Hello, so today I'm going to be having a quick look at the ship builder and explaining some of the basic ideas. Now the ship builder is absolutely huge and complicated and overwhelming to new players, and it's difficult to know where to start and what bits you need on your ship and what you don't, what type of weapons you need, what engines, so much information to kind of absorb in one go. So I'm going to start with the basics. So if we go into the ship builder, this will let me have a look around my ship. This is my upgraded version of the Frontier, so I can show you around and show you the different parts. So the first main part of your ship that kind of determines everything else is the reactor. So this is the reactor on mine. It's a class C. Now different classes of reactor, A, B or C, and the different sort of costs, so the more expensive reactors, they can provide more power to your ship. So the class of the reactor, A, B or C, is what determines the overall class of your ship. So generally you'll start with the little class A ships, and as you upgrade and buy new parts and things, you'll find that certain parts, like if I go to the engines on mine, the engines say that they are class C. So that means you need a class C reactor to be able to power your class C engines. So in a lot of ways it will be the different parts that you want to equip onto your ship that will determine what class of reactor you're going to need. And you can see up the top left hand corner that it shows that my reactor provides 34 units of power, and all my equipped weapons and engines and things, they use a total of 50 power. So even if you've got the most powerful reactor, it's still not going to be able to provide full power to everything. So you're going to have to, while you're flying your ship, switch power between the different systems, but I'll come to that in a different video. Let me know if that's useful, if you want me to go through that in a different video. But for the purposes of this, you can see how much power this Class C reactor can provide as 34 units of power. So then the next major thing is the Grav drive. Now this is what allows you to jump between the different star systems in Starfield. So the more powerful grav drive that you have with a higher grav jump thrust, this determines how far you can jump between two planets. So you'll find that the higher level planets in the game, the ones out on the edges of the galaxy, are gradually get further and further apart as you go to higher levels. So you probably will need to upgrade your grav drive on your ship to be able to get out to these higher up planets out on the edges of the galaxy later on in the game. Now, also related to grav drive is fuel. So these are the fuel tanks on mine. I've got one there and I've got one over here. So originally during development of Starfield, they were going to have a mechanic where you would actually run out of fuel on your ship and you would have to stop at different places and refuel, or you'd have to stop on a planet and kind of gather fuel to be able to refill your fuel tanks. But they scrapped that idea because it was a bit complicated and it could have meant you getting stuck on a planet and kind of spoiling how you were playing the game. So they scrapped that idea, but they kept the fuel tanks in. So what fuel tanks mean at the moment, they determine how far you can travel in one go across multiple jumps, if that makes any sense. So if you want to jump, say, from one side of the galaxy to the other, and say that means you're going to jump across 10 different systems, so it'll be your grav drive that determines if you can jump between all those systems, if you can jump far enough. But then the fuel determines how many jumps you can do in a row with how much fuel you've got in your tanks. So you may, if you haven't got big fuel tanks, you may have to do a few smaller jumps between rather than just doing one big jump from one side of the galaxy to the other. But it doesn't have a massive impact on your gameplay. The big one is the grav drive to be able to jump between sort of the far away planets. So then related to that is engines. So I have 4 engines, these ones, 2 big ones on the ends and then these 2 smaller ones. So the engines are what determines your flying around sort of at normal speed while you're flying above a planet or between planets within the same system, and obviously while you're in ship combat, flying around fighting against other ships, and they determine how fast you can go. Now, as you add more things to your ship, more hubs and more weapons, more cargo, you'll need to upgrade your engines because the ship will start to get too heavy for the initial engines that you've got. So you'll need to add more powerful engines, or even like I've had to add 4 engines here. And you can see up on the top left that I can't add any more engines now because that power bar for engines is full. So it won't let me add any more now, so 4 is the maximum. But you could potentially upgrade these engines to better ones, better versions of the same sort of size and shape of engine. So what we've come to next, we have storage. So your ship cargo. So I've got these 4, I've got these 2 little ones on top, and then I've got these bigger ones underneath. So these are the cargo for my ship. These determine how much cargo you can store on your ship. So depending on how you play the game and what you're going to do in the game, when you're collecting weapons, spacesuits, you're doing mining on planets, collecting resources, killing animals, collecting all the organic materials and things. Once your personal inventory space starts to run out, you can go to your ship and you can dump all of that stuff from your inventory onto your ship. Plus, there are also missions within the game to deliver certain resources between different planets and different systems. So you will need to upgrade your storage to be able to hold different amounts of these resources. There is also another kind of storage which I haven't got on my ship, which is shielded storage, shielded cargo. So this is if you want to roleplay as a pirate or a smuggler, or you find contraband while you're out doing quests. So these are, you may be carrying things on your ship that when you find you come to a planet and you're getting scanned, either on a UC planet or a Freestar planet. So putting these contraband or illegal items in your shielded cargo storage will hide it from these scans. So that's something you need to bear in mind depending on how you're going to play the game. So another thing we've got here is shields. So this is a big thing for if you're doing ship combat, ship-to-ship combat. So you can only have one kind of shield generator on your ship. So you need to upgrade to the best that you can afford to increase the maximum shield health, and that determines obviously how many hits you can take before your shields run out, and then you start to take damage to the actual hull of your ship. So one thing I didn't mention that I'll go back to now is when you're upgrading these pieces of your ship and you're adding extra things to your ship, what you will see when you come to add something down the right hand side, so if we go to shields on here, these are all the different shields that are available. And if we scroll all the way to the bottom, there's 2 things that determine what is available to you to put onto your ship. So one is the level of your skills. So you've got things like Starship Design, which some of these shields are available, but they are locked behind that skill. I don't have Starship Design rank 4, so I can't attach these ones that are greyed out. And also, you will find when you start the game, this list of available add-ons for your ship, available parts for your ship, is a lot smaller. And as you level up, more and more of these parts will become available as you play through the game. So as you work your way up to sort of level 50, level 60, more and more of these parts will become available. So that's something to bear in mind. Okay, so on to another part. We can see here we've got the landing bay. So this is obviously how you get on and off the ship. So you can only have one landing bay. There are rear facing ones, which is what I've got on mine. There's front facing ones that can sort of go under your cockpit and you get on via the front, and then there's side facing ones as well. So these need to be attached to a hub. So let's have a look at a hub now. So like this one, this is the built-in Frontier hub. So these are the different hubs that I've got on my ship. I've got a Frontier hub, I've got a control station. Now I'll go into more detail on these different ones in another video. Let me know if that's something you'll be interested in. I've got a workshop as well, and I've also got a living quarters, which has got beds and sofas in and stuff for my crew. So like I say, I'll go into these in more detail in another video, but at the moment I've got these 4 habs. So it's all the things like this. How many habs that you've got determines how many crew you can have, and as I said before, it increases the weight of your ship. So you're going to need more powerful engines to be able to fly with all these heavy habs or all the different things that you're adding onto your ship. Now, related to that kind of weight issue as well is your landing gears. So now, as you can see on my ship, if we can get underneath, I have these 4 landing gears. So you'll find as you make your ship heavier, you'll need either more landing gears, or different landing gears have a kind of a different amount of strength. So this is the lander thrust. So these ones that I've got have lander thrust of 4. So I only need 4 of these to be able to carry the weight of my ship. But if you've got a different landing gear, let's have a quick look in here. Gears. So some of these, see, look, these ones have lander thrust of 1. Some have 2, and then the ones I've already got equipped have 4. So it's how much lander thrust they've got and how much your ship weighs, how much mass of your ship has, determines how many of these landing gears you're going to need. Okay, so quickly just going back to the habs. So you've also got on your habs, different ones will give you, some don't really give you anything, like, so the workshop doesn't give you any passengers or crew slots, but the workshop in particular, especially the Stroud workshop, is good because it's got the crafting benches in for weapons, industrial crafting bench, and the spacesuit crafting bench as well. So this is a really good one. It's got all 3 of those, and a research station as well, I think, in this one. But as you can see with these different ones, like the control station has 4 crew stations. So as you increase your skills to let you have more crew on your ship, you'll need to add more of these habs that let you increase the crew stations for your ship as well, to determine how many crew you can have. And you can also carry passengers. There are missions within the game where you'll need to take passengers from one system to another, or one planet to another, so you will need some passenger slots to be able to carry these passengers. But like I say, I'll go into habs in another video, because there's so much information about all the different ones, comparing all the different ones, so let me know if that's something you find useful. Okay, so I've also got some of this cowling and structural parts of the ship. So these are purely for show. So they don't weigh very much, they don't cost very much, but you can use these different bits of cowling and structure to change the shape of your ship to make it look how you want. They don't sort of do anything, they don't take any power. Your crew, you can't walk around within them, they're just kind of for show, just to make your ship look different. So you can bolt these on however you want. You can mix and match from the different ship manufacturers to get the exact kind of shape or look of a ship that you want. So almost unlimited kind of customization there. So probably the last and one of the most important parts of your ship is the cockpit. So this is obviously where you fly your ship from. So all ships will need a cockpit. Now this one that I've got is really good because it actually spans across 2 levels. So if we bring it out, this spans across 2 levels of your ship. So it's actually got stairs inside. So instead of going up and down ladders, you can actually go up and down the stairs within here, and it's got 3 seats I think inside. I will do another video, like I say, on going into the different cockpits and things as well, but this is quite a cool one. So this also has to be attached to a hab you have to be able to get from your landing bay through a hab into your cockpit. So that just determines how you sort of lay out your ship, that these things have to be connected together so you can physically walk through your ship from one end to the other. Then under here, this little thing is the docker. So there's all different shapes and sizes of docker as well. If we go in here, all these different dockers that you can get, top, underneath, front, side, all these different sizes and shapes of docker. And these are what let you dock onto other ships and onto space stations. So when you land on a planet, you'll come out of the landing bay. But when you're in space and you connect to another ship or a space station, it'll be the docker is how you get in and out of your ship onto the space station. So then finally we come to the weapons. So you can have three, if you look in the top left hand corner, you can have 3 different types of weapon on your ship, but you can have multiple of each weapon. So what I've got here, I've got particle beams as my sort of primary weapon. So I've got 4 particle beams, the same. So they all go into weapon slot 0, so that when you press the trigger or the relevant button to fire that weapon, all 4 of these will fire at the same time. Now the same as with some other parts of your ship, these also have a class requirement. So these ones are class B particle cannons. So that means you need, going back to the beginning, you need a class B reactor to be able to have these class B weapons. And each of these, it says, uses max power of 3. So I can only have 4 of these on that one slot, and that is my 12 total sort of power units used up for that weapon. So then the other weapons I've got, I have suppressors, these 2 suppressors on top. Now these are the electromagnetic weapons. These are what you can use for disabling a ship so that you can board it. So rather than just blasting all the ships out of the sky, if you want to board a ship and steal it, or just get on and loot the ship, what you'll need to do is take out its shields first and then use these electromagnetic suppressors on the engines to make the ship stop. So going back to this shields and hull sort of idea of weapons, particle beams do damage to hull and shield, so they're good for blasting ships away. But if you want to board ships, what you'll need is what I've got under here. You'll need lasers, which do far more damage to the shields than to the hull. So you'll need to use lasers to take out the shield first, and then you'll need to use your suppressor to take out the engines to stop the ship, disable the ship so that you can board. So I'll go into that in another video if that's of interest. So this is all the different parts of your ship. I'm hoping that has been helpful. Let me know.